call the meeting to order, please. Ask Councilman Cook to lead us in our prayer, and Councilman Castile to please lead us in the pledge.
We meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and the future and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Left-handed after this one, huh? You end up being left-handed, huh? Huh? Yeah. Oh, Mike's hot.
Thank you, members. We welcome you to the City Parish Council meeting. We, as your representatives in the Lafayette Consolidated Government, welcome your involvement and encourage your participation. If you wish to address the council on any item on this agenda, please fill out a blue request to address the council form, noting the agenda item number. The blue form is available to you in the foyer and should be submitted to the council clerk, Ms. Veronica L. Williams, seated to my left in the middle, prior to the call of that agenda item. It is important to fill out the blue form completely and note the specific agenda item number about which you wish to speak. If the card is not completely filled out or is not legible to the clerk, you will not be given the opportunity to speak. If you have materials you wish to submit to the council, please give those to Ms. Williams along with your blue form. In an effort to allow everyone the opportunity to be heard, the 5-minute rule will be in effect. Speakers shall refrain from debating, personal attacks, and from making confrontational or derogatory comments. I am requesting that the first row to my left be used for media only. Lastly, food and drinks are not allowed in the auditorium, and all phones and electronic devices shall be silenced from this point forward. I am also requesting that everyone and anyone who approaches the council state their name and title for the official record. Meeting procedures are by resolution and not by Robert's Rules of Order. Documents including agendas, ordinances, resolutions, and minutes related to this meeting are posted online at www.lafayettela.gov or referred to the web address on the top of the agenda. The council encourages your involvement and participation by volunteering for boards and commissions. If you are interested in finding out which board suits your interests, please call 291-8800 or pick up a pamphlet at the front door. I do have a few chair announcements. Members, you need to adhere and understand these. Item number 30. Item 30, the introductory ordinance 212-2017 relative to the cooperative endeavor agreement between the Parish of Lafayette and the 15th Judicial District Court Legal has proposed an amendment to amend the CEA with reference to funding, payment, and court reporters. Item 30 will be pulled from the in-global list for separate vote and discussion. Members and to the public, Council Member Nakan will not be in attendance at tonight's meeting. He is away and out of town on business matters. It is with personal regret but very warm wishes that I announce the retirement of Phyllis Walters effective November the 1st. Phyllis has been an administrative assistant secretary in the council office. She actually served the city members of the council, and she did it very well. If you had the opportunity to engage Phyllis in any way, you always left better than you came. She has certainly left her mark on our office and has been gifted with a caring nature in responding to the citizens of Lafayette. I often told Phyllis that she had the toughest job in the office because she worked for myself and Pat Lewis now. We have some tough constituents with a lot of needs, but I tell you, Phyllis was a soldier, and we're going to truly miss her. We wish her well as she begins her new journey. So if you have the opportunity or the chance to cross Phyllis Walters, please let her know how much you appreciate the work that she has done her time here. Also, item number 23, ordinance 209-2017, relative to the city marshal's pay plan has been deferred indefinitely. That item is being deferred indefinitely. Item number 23. Couple other announcements and acknowledgments I have. The first, I'm going to read some information to you. As you know, the month of October, there are many things that exist and are celebrated, observed, or we try to become better at. And one of those issues is the issue of domestic violence. I want to read something to you. Louisiana remains among the deadliest states for women. The Washington, D.C.-based Violence Policy Center has issued its annual report on female murder victims, and it once again paints a grim picture for Louisiana. The report, When Men Murder Women, an analysis of homicide data, reviews female victims killed by male offenders in single victim/single offender incidents and ranks all states from highest rates to lowest. The 2017 report, which analyzed homicides committed in 2015, was released this week. Louisiana ranks third in the nation, down from second the year before. The report reveals that nationwide more than 1,680 women are murdered by men in 2015, and the most common weapon used was a gun. 93% of the women killed by men were murdered by someone they knew. The report also shows that black women are disproportionately victimized, with black females being murdered by males at a rate more than twice as high as white females, 2.43 per 100,000 versus 0.96 per 100,000. The report does not count multiple death incidents or incidents where the perpetrator and victim are the same gender. This is the 20th year that the Violence Policy Center has published When Men Murder Women. From 1996 to 2015, the rate of women murdered by men in single victim, single offender incidents nationwide dropped from 1.57 per 100,000 women in 1996 to 1.12 per 100,000 women in 2015, a decrease of 29%. However, a review of the report reveals that Louisiana has failed to make the progress seen in the rest of the nation. The rate in Louisiana remains 2.22 per 100,000, doubling the national average and 41% higher than the national average was 20 years ago when the reporting began. The executive director of the Louisiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence says there are a number of factors that contribute to Louisiana's high homicide rate. One factor is inadequate funding for victim services. Well, I'm proud to say tonight we're going to consider a resolution that provide funding to agencies who provide victim services here in the city and parish of Lafayette, as well as provide services to offenders to correct behavior. So we could at least be proud there, and yet another instance on some of the value, the great value of external agency funding when things the government just cannot do. Domestic violence programs across the state are stretched dangerously thin. Without additional resources, there simply are not enough shelter beds to meet the needs of victims seeking immediate safety. Another factor, Winneski said, is easy firearm access for abusers. Although state and federal law prohibit many abusers from possessing firearms, our state lacks any consistent process for actually implementing these prohibitions. This means many people convicted of domestic abuse, battery, and therefore prohibited from possessing a firearm, nonetheless retain access to their guns. Of the women killed by men in Louisiana in 2015, 64% were killed with guns. Though they express frustration with the state's ranking, advocates are hopeful that change is possible. This report should be a wake-up call for Louisiana policymakers. We are facing a homicide rate of epidemic proportions. The report shows that the rate of women murdered by men in Louisiana has increased steadily each year from 2011, 1.67 per 100,000, to 2015, 2.22 per 100,000. We can't afford to continue on this path. It is time for our state to prioritize women's lives. At this point, I think it's okay to say women's lives matter. A couple of years ago, I partnered with Faith House, and we did a pledge campaign, no more silence, no more violence. It was a pledge against domestic violence. I, and of course in the blank, it put Kenneth Boudreaux, pledged not to use violence against my intimate partner. But in addition to that, I will speak up if I know violence is being perpetrated. I support victims and will not use victim-blaming language. And I know that violence is a choice made by abusers, and they alone should be held accountable for their actions. Anyone interested in taking this pledge is welcome to do so. Faith House welcomes you, and they will provide the appropriate document to you. And if the opportunity would afford you that, you could encourage all of your co-workers, family members, friends, and everybody to take this same pledge. So I say purple power. Is Billy Lacombe here? Yes, y'all could clap, yeah. Come see Billy. I would ask at this time, because this issue is I think a very important issue, and I thank you for being here. I know you're here for a reward, but I wanted to just give you an opportunity as the director of Faith House to just maybe share some things with us and some encouragement as it relates to addressing domestic violence issues here. Annually, this government has historically tried to do some things, and unfortunately, the month of October has been a challenging one, and I'll be the first to say we're behind in a few little cleanup items, but we're here tonight.
That's right. And it's never too late, of course. Thank you so much, Councilman Boudreaux, for inviting me here tonight. And just to add to your remarks about the statewide state of domestic violence and us ranking the third in the nation, the bad news is we've ranked in the top 10 over the past 10 years. So we have not lost any ground in remaining at the top. It's a deadly state for victims of domestic violence. Here locally in Lafayette, we serve more than 2,500 women and children each year affected by domestic violence. So it's an issue that hits also close to home. We've provided more than 9,000 shelter nights, so people escaping from abuse or living in our shelter. But the sad news is that we've had to deny more than 500 women and children from entering into our shelter because of our capacity. And also answered more than 4,000 crisis calls of people calling to get resources or help because they're in desperate situations. The thing about domestic violence, though, is that we know that it starts at home and it has to end at home. And to speak to the pledge that Councilman Boudreaux mentioned, we want to encourage the citizens of Lafayette to start in their own home with talking to their children about domestic violence and abuse, talking about using violence as a method to resolve issues, and then to take these pledges to try to change those behaviors. So we do have this pledge that you can take tonight, and we'll share with the audience, where you can sign and enter no more, and then put your own thoughts on what you would like to see stopped around this subject. So mine is no more excuses. So there's no more excuses for the violence. And then upload this to social media so that we can start a movement here in Lafayette to say that this sort of behavior is not welcome in our community. We want better for our citizens. So thank you so much for having me tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. And if there's anyone present here today, obviously we're not going to ask you to be recognized in any form or fashion, but just know that if in fact at any point in your life you have been victimized, know that you are supported. and we really do love you. And more purple power to you. We really do care. The next issue is, of course, that we also acknowledge in the month of October is breast cancer awareness. And certainly it has touched my family very, very closely, and I'm sure many others. So I wanted to share a little information with you as well on that. And I had to tell, I met with some gentlemen in uniform today, and I think I got a strange look when they saw my pink shirt, and I said, hey man, don't get it twisted, you know, it's just a pink shirt, you know. It's all right for a man to wear pink, but we celebrate, and we celebrate survivors. October 6, 2016, the Department of Health and Hospitals reported Louisiana Medicaid will now coverage for breast reconstruction surgery of the contralateral breast following mastectomy. In addition, they will have access to other services that was not previously available. So I want to suggest to, of course, all of the ladies here today, all those who are listening, even men, because men can, in fact, have breast cancer, that you visit your doctor and know everything that is available to you today. According to the Center for Disease Control, Louisiana does not have one of the highest rates of breast cancer diagnosis, but we do have one of the highest rates of mortality due to breast cancer in women. This is due to our lack of self-examination practices, lack of early detection, particularly when it relates to genetic testing and hereditary issues. Most are unaware of their specific breast cancer risk and also unaware of their many options for treatment and detection. So again, as we celebrate survivors, we want to encourage self-examination. We want to make sure that you are sharing with your doctor and make them aware of your family history. And we also at this time want to say pink power. And I also want to add, survivors' lives matter. Now this is a good time. Are there any survivors with us today in the audience that we could honor and celebrate? All right, one of our very own. Thank you very much. Just check your information. The Pink for Purpose Mammo Day, it's an ongoing thing at UHC entrance number 2 if you need information. So there's a lot of things out there. Sometimes we just got to make sure people know about it, and we could save lives that way. So I thank you for allowing me to share this information, as I did not want October to come and go, and since this is our last meeting, without acknowledging and addressing these very, very important issues here in our community. So those are all the announcements that I have at this time. At this time, I'm going to open the floor for other council members. Councilman Cook.
Thank you, Councilman Boudreaux. I have just a couple of announcements. One, I would like to make the community aware of some recent legislation that is actually aimed at fighting obesity in our community. And it's called One, Work Out Now. I'm not going to make you stand up and work out now, but I'm going to read you a little bit about some history as far as why it is important that we think about doing this. Louisiana has the highest obesity rate in the nation and the 4th highest obesity rate for children ages 10 through 17. Obesity-related health issues plague our citizens, with Louisiana's ranking 1st in the nation for adults with diabetes and 4th in the nation for adults with hypertension. The greatest resource in tracking any problem that impacts the community is that community itself. And the obesity crisis cannot be mandated away at the federal or state level. It must be a priority at our local level. And so our communities must be equipped with the information needed to help their citizens lead healthier lives, which will result in a more prosperous community and save the taxpayers millions of dollars related to treating preventable chronic diseases. With this in mind, Senator Boudreaux and I, Gerald Boudreaux and I, are creating a panel. We already have about 4 people on the panel, And we're looking for anyone in the community that might be interested in joining the panel that might have already any existing programs that they're involved with to deal with obesity for children in our community. So if you are interested, if you would just call the council office, or if you know someone that might be interested, please pass it along, because we already have a pediatrician on board. We have, of course, Senator Boudreaux with Parks and Rec. We have an educator as well on board, and we have another with Louisiana Ag Center, and a member of that on board, and they do some programs already which really talk about nutrition with children. So we're looking for anybody else that might have some other, again, interest in joining this panel and or bringing some ideas in terms of some community projects that they are already involved with. So if you would, please call the council office for that. My other announcement is I really wanted to recognize the Lafayette Parish School System and a couple of our private schools in town. Last week, we initiated a Wear Blue Day in honor of Officer Middlebrook and raised money for him and his family. And I'm very proud to announce that we raised a total of about $25,000 that'll be given to the community for him. So thank you so much for everyone that participated. Thank you, that's it.
Thank you very much. Due to capacity issues, the fire department is requesting that all those who are standing, so all the members of the department, we're gonna have to get you to fill up as many seats as possible. They've discontinued allowing people in because of the walk-in pads. So the fire department is asking that anyone who is standing, please be seated. And we're gonna allow you to occupy some of the media road today. Yes, sir, Chief? Okay, I guess that's why I said the chief has spoken. Thank you. So again, those who want to take advantage of being able to occupy a seat, you could do so. And Kyle, I guess anybody who's being held back for now, maybe we could direct them straight to a seat if they would like to come in and let them take those seats. Any other council members with announcements? Seeing none, we're going to go to the executive president's report. Mr. Robideau.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is anyone with the Baha'is of Lafayette here? There you are, okay. We do have a proclamation that I'd like to give you, and let me read some of it first. Whereas the Baha'is of Lafayette have been a steadying, unifying part of Lafayette for more than 50 years, embracing members of all ages, races, nationalities, economic and cultural backgrounds. And whereas on October 22nd, the Baha'is of Lafayette, their families, friends, neighbors, and colleagues, along with Baha'is all over and around the world, are commemorating the Light of Unity Festival in honor of the 200th anniversary of the birthday of Baha'u'llah, the glory of God, the founder of the Baha'i faith and independent world religion. And whereas the Baha'is of Lafayette work to build peaceful, law-abiding communities by eliminating all forms of prejudice, enhancing the spiritual life of humanity, and promoting interfaith harmony, and whereas the activities undertaken empower people and increase their capacity to work for the betterment of the world. Whereas the Baha'i gatherings are open to all and provide a safe social space for reflection, consultation, and service to all. Now therefore I, Joel Robideau, Mayor President of Lafayette Consolidated Government, do hereby recognize the 22nd day of October 2017 as the bicentennial birthday of Baha'u'llah.
My name is Emilia Bellone, and I represent the Lafayette Baha'i community. And I have with me a few other members of the community I'd like to introduce. They're right behind me. First is Danielle Ducre, Paulette Lemaire, Maurice Primo, and we have a guest with us, Javier Ortiz Pereira. And we are here tonight to receive the proclamation, but also to thank Mayor President Robideau for acknowledging this very important and sacred occasion within our faith. And we especially are touched getting this from a mayor president who campaigned on the idea of working together, because in the Baha'i faith, this is an extremely important principle of our faith. And we know that he is also the recipient of the Hudson Cup and has played a key role in creating a no-kill animal shelter out of the Lafayette shelter. And all of these in the Baha'i faith are extremely important principles: nonviolence, no killing, promoting peace, promoting unity, recognizing unity in diversity, and other similar virtues and principles. We also would like very much to thank the council members for their service. We know that this is hard work. We know that you tackle very important, difficult, sometimes controversial issues, and we appreciate that your service helps keep our city and parish running, and that you and your families make sacrifices in order for you to perform this service. And we, as the Baha'i community, would like to appreciate this and acknowledge you for this. One last thing I'd like to let you know is that we have provided packets of information which the clerk, I think, will be distributing to you so that you can become a little bit better acquainted with who the Baha'is are. But we would like you to know that we are the second most widespread religion in the world, that though our numbers are relatively small in Louisiana, we have been a steady community here since the 1960s, that we have played a role in children's education, in disaster recovery, in interfaith harmony and services and devotional gatherings, and other ways of offering service to the Lafayette community and improving the lives of everyone in our community. And so we would also like you to know that we come from all parts of Lafayette, all walks of life, and all ages, genders, backgrounds, everything. We're a very diverse community, and we welcome your interest, and we want to let you know that we, on an ongoing basis, will be praying for all of you, personally and as a group, in your work here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I also have Ms. E.B. Brooks here with Monkus Park to give a presentation.
Good evening. How are you guys doing? I will be brief. I know you have a full agenda and obviously a packed room, but I did want to take an opportunity to give you a real quick update on what we are building in Phase 1. And just a real quick update while she's getting the presentation loaded. We have finalized the master plan. We have finalized the maintenance plan that we'll be submitting to you as a part of the lease. Insurance certificates are going to be provided very soon, and the construction documents are actually out to bid as we speak. So the bids will come back hopefully in a couple of weeks, and we'll begin construction before the end of the year on Phase 1, which is very exciting. So I'll go through this really quickly. Kelly is my Director of Philanthropy for Monkus Park. And so really quickly, we're just going to show the public the master plan, and if we can figure out how to advance the slides, maybe just like scroll down. I'll give everybody an update on a few upcoming events while we get this straightened out. We have, obviously, the fall is the best time to be outside in Louisiana, and given that we have such a beautiful 100-acre green space up on the screen, we have a ton of events coming up that I'll go through really quickly. This Friday, on October the 20th at 6 p.m., we have a drive-in movie of The Goonies, so that'll be fun. Saturday that afternoon, actually from 11 to 10, will be Latin Fest, held by the Asociación Latina Cultural de Acadiana. And then Saturday, October 28th, will be both the Horsepower Classic Car Show and Taco Fest. So both of those will be out at the park. Saturday, November 4th is going to be Acadiana Animal Aid's Bark in the Park. And Saturday, November 11th is a brand new event we're hosting called Celebration VIP, which is a Veterans Day celebration. So it'll be a fundraiser in the evening from 4 to 9. And then Wednesday, November 15th is going to be our gala, a celebration under the yoke. So we encourage you to kind of buy tickets and come to that. And then finally, Friday, December 8th will be Christmas in the Park, similar to what we did last year, which was a really popular event. So we encourage everybody to come out. A lot of those are free events. We really love inviting the community to come and enjoy this beautiful space. And these will be the last events that you will be able to enjoy the park as it is today before Phase 1 improvements are installed. So it might be, take your pictures now because it'll be beautiful and more kind of elegant in the future. So really quickly, we went through a community engagement plan to develop the master plan, but if you look at towards the end of 2017, we are done with design drawings and about to launch into construction, and it will take about a year to a year and a half. So hoping that the grand opening will be sometime in 2019. So the park vision, this is the master plan. This is really kind of what we're focusing on in the first half of the park. That's about 60 acres there. These are all online. I'm not going to go through it, but I really just want everybody to see how beautiful it's going to be. And you can go to moncuspark.org to see these and kind of see how we've gotten to this point. That's the full master plan, the 100-acre Central Park in the middle of Lafayette on Johnson Street. That's our entrance drive on Johnson Street. It'll look a lot better than it does now. That's kind of the entryway and a new bridge over the coulee and kind of how it connects to our new dog park. A view from a farmer's market pavilion we're building in Phase 1, looking out over the coulee towards the Great Lawn. And then we're having a Louisiana-themed carousel in Phase 1. That donor has committed, and so we're excited to put that in place. This will be an open-air amphitheater to kind of service, I guess, festivals between what you would have downtown between Parc Sanssouci and Parc International. This is a beautiful wetland boardwalk pond. And then that is our Veterans Memorial that will be kind of a fundraiser on the 15th, or on the 11th, sorry. That's our beautiful kind of Great Lawn and 1 mile running track that's going to be lined with live oak trees, and a beautiful prospect garden that you'll be able to climb up to the top and overlook the whole front of the half of the park. The ravine garden is that ravine halfway through the back. And then finally, kind of looking out from that ravine garden will be a beautiful pond and sculpture garden in the very back half of the property. So ultimately, we're really grateful for your support. I think that this may be our last regular update to you guys. Of course, we'll always come back here and keep you apprised of what's going on, but per the CEA, that will kind of end as soon as we enact the lease, which hopefully will be within the next couple of months. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and I am grateful for all of your support over the years.
Mr. Terrio.
Yes, a couple of quick questions. You'd mentioned the grand opening in 2019. Is that just the first phase or the total completion?
It's actually the first phase. So the first phase is about a $12 million construction.
Okay, and I think the last time that you came here, there were some mandatory requirements that y'all had to meet. Everything's up to date at this point on that?
Yes, sir, absolutely. We got our maintenance plan revisions back from Mr. Paul Escott, and the last two are just kind of waiting for that lease to be enacted. So the contractor will pull the building permit, and certificates of insurance will be issued as soon as we enact the lease.
To where that way we make sure that you guys do not fall behind and they can come back and I guess you do not meet their requirements, so it gives them some opportunity to come back in and, I guess, question you guys moving forward, correct?
Absolutely. So the lease provides for all of those kind of coverages for the city and for us.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's all the questions.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, EB.
Still have the floor, Mr. Rubio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And if Thomasina is here, I'd like to bring Thomasina up to discuss the bid award.
Hi, I'm Thomasina Oliver, the purchasing manager. These items are LUS inventory items, therefore purchasing needs the council approval to award these to the low evaluated bidders.
That's been moved on by Councilman Kunk. Does he have a second? Councilman Cook went first. Any council discussion? Don't seem to have any questions on these items. Any blue cards? No. Call the vote on these items, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7? District 8? District 9? Motion to accept bids is approved.
Thank you very much. Is that all you have, Mr. President? Thank you. We're going to now move to comments from the public. We do have blue cards available, so we need to make sure everybody understand that this is the portion of the meeting and the opportunity to make your voice heard before the council, the administration, and the public. This is the time to speak about topics that are not included as agenda items. As I noted earlier, requests to make comments specific to an agenda item should be made prior to the call of that agenda item by completing a blue request to address the council form for each agenda item you wish to address, with that agenda item number noted on the blue form. Please, we request that all matters regarding specific city-parish employees be directed to the administration and that it not be addressed at this public forum. We as a council have a concern for the privacy and protection of government employees. With that said, however, if your concern is not resolved in either an expeditious or satisfactory fashion, there are other avenues which you can pursue, and we ask that you follow up with the council office. Confrontational statements and/or threats will not be tolerated. We ask that you conduct yourself in a civil manner and with the same courtesy that you would expect of others. The 5-minute rule is in effect. First speaker, please.
Mr. Chair, first of 8 speakers, Kim Goodell. And she did provide a written statement, 1 copy, which will be copied and sent to you.
Thank you. I'd like to talk a little bit about the resolution that was voted on at the October 3rd City Council meeting. It was a resolution to submit a application for a Tiger Grant for the Grand Boulevard that would be running along District 3. 4 different members of the environmental sector of the community spoke at that particular, or for that particular item. All of the comments were relative to environmental impacts that have not been completely assessed in the I-49 corridor. Of particular concern was the railroad track, which plays prominent in the design of I-49. They are talking about driving the pilings on that particular track. In close proximity to the rail yard is our public water facility. When we started meeting with DOTD, or DOTD started meeting with the public, the Secretary, Sean Wilson, when he was asked, how do you intend to remedy the contamination at the rail yard, he said that they would be doing a spot check and a spot cleanup, just the part that they needed to utilize for the pilings. This particular track has been the subject of 2 prior lawsuits and in the last one in 2007, the federal judge's one of his judgments that he rendered was that the facility was to be assessed as an entire facility. We could no longer piecemeal little tracts out of the entire facility. That was the only way a comprehensive plan, cleanup plan, could be ascertained. And he also stated that enough evidence was there that it was clearly a threat to the Chico, and with our water supply facility being right there, he was concerned about the vulnerability. When the resolution was proposed on October 3rd, all 4 of us asked, is this a resolution for the Grand Boulevard? There was some confusion. It was ambiguous language. Or is this actually an I-49 implementation plan? And I asked that today of the city attorney.
Paul, I don't know if you're able to answer that question at this time. Typically, on comments from the public, we're here to listen. We don't engage in a conversation. If you want to
Right.
present it in writing and give him an opportunity to respond to you, I'm sure he would be able to do so. But in his very high professional capacity, I'll let him make that determination.
Okay.
Are you able to speak to this at this
This is
time?
for the public's concern and just interest and transparency of the whole thing. Is I-49, has it been implemented by the mayor and the city council with that resolution? Or was it simply the Grand Boulevard?
Mr. Chairman, any questions like that, I'm not prepared to answer, and my suggestion would be that the speakers submit whatever question or request that they have in writing to my office.
So Kim, if you want to present that,
Sure.
you could present it through the council office or directly, and you
Got
could
it.
get a written response.
Okay, and also there were some questions about the structure of the lawsuit. It's modeled after the opinion of the judge, first calling for a comprehensive analysis and assessment, followed by a comprehensive work plan to clean it up.
Okay. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Aaron Lee. Okay, Aaron Lee and Gail Lee on the same issue, of course.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here on the concern, the complaints that I have brought to the councilman concerning a ditch near my home or adjacent to my home. I have been living there. I bought my house in 1989. I have been complaining about the ditch since 2003. I have brought it to the councilman. They have sent me letters several times letting us know that our complaint will be considered and will be given to the proper department. The same letter, the same contents have been sent to my house only because it's all the same. It's addressed to me from my councilman, and Public Work would get back with me. The same letter has been sent. So I feel that the ditch needs to be addressed for me and my husband because we can no longer take care of that ditch. The ditch at one time was large enough that my children could cross over and go to school at S.J. Montgomery and go to Lafayette High. We had a little bridge. Now it's a gully. We have had several maintenance department, the Public Works, come out and they said that is our problem. But now it's interfering with our property line because our property is being eroded and the ditch is getting very large. Several cars have gone into that ditch as a safety matter, and now since we have not been maintaining that ditch, the grass is very high. So at that corner, the four-way corner, it's going to interfere with the drivers to see, from, to crossing and moving forward. I feel that we just need help. I am a taxpayer. I feel that I pay tax, property tax. I feel that something needs to be done because we no longer can do this, and the ditch is getting larger. When the Boys and Girls Club was built, they put a new sewage line, or what you call that?
Sewage drain.
A sewage drain. And because they put that drain and they never came back to fix the ditch, it's worse. So I don't feel it's my problem. I think it's the city problem.
We have, we've been there 28 years, corner Dulles and Marie on 20th. and I'm pretty sure everybody's aware of that area. And
Aaron, get closer to the microphone.
and recently, back in 2010, I had back surgery, and before I was maintaining the ditch, and now I'm unable to do it. And I mean, I did everything that I could, so now we asking the city, you know, if they could help us in any kind of way, you know, in maintaining.
Or how to fix the problem, or what can happen to fix the problem, because it is a problem.
Okay. Mr. Conk?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is in my district. She's absolutely correct. That was an issue that goes back to my first term on the
Correct.
council back in
Exactly.
2004, 2008. The one thing you did tonight, you talked to Mr. Dubrock. Mr. Dubrock is a man who's going to get it done. And you will also be receiving, I'm sorry, I apologize in advance, yet another farm letter because we filed another complaint on your behalf yesterday. So be patient. You'll get that letter in the mail. That's not an issue. Mr. Dubrock has assured me that he will address your concern.
All right.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Renee Stansberry.
Good evening, council members. Thanks for having me here tonight. We just wanted to give you a brief update on what's going on with the Lafayette Smoke-Free Ordinance. Working with our partners, we were able to secure some funds to help with Lafayette with the transition with this smoke-free ordinance. And then working with Mr. Gotro's office, we were able to get some signage that'll be going up at the parks that are being affected by the smoke-free ordinance, either at the entrance or other areas that will be in the ordinance included. So these are being delivered tonight, so they'll have those to go up. So thank you to Mr. Gotro for all your work with that. Then a lot of the businesses that were affected by the ordinance, we worked with Councilman Boudreau, the city attorney, Chief Benoit, Chief Chasson. So there was a lot of heads put together the best way to see how to move forward. I have a fact sheet right here that I'll give to each of you, and it's just a brief overview that we're able to provide to the businesses, kind of a snapshot on what's included in case they're not sure what's included in the ordinance. This is a quick reference that they can utilize at their facility. Then we also developed some signage for inside of the buildings to let individuals know about the ordinance and what's going on. We've worked with Chief Chasson extensively for this outreach. We're about 80% through all of the businesses that are affected by the ordinance. We also have some window decals that we provide to them and some other just kind of thank you items for bearing with us through this process. Does anybody have any questions about any of the outreach or things that we're doing?
Seeing none at this time.
Okay, well, I will give you guys the updated sheet, and if you have any questions about some of the outreach that we're doing, you all have my contact info, so just let me know.
Yeah, you're actually giving those signs to Mr. Gotro right now?
Actually, we are gonna go to the parking lot. I'm transferring it from my car to his car.
Okay.
So those will start, and I'm just gonna give each of you the quick reference fact sheet that we use.
Okay, thank you very much. You could call the next speaker, Veronica.
Next speaker is Jack Venable Jr., and he did sign 2 blue cards for 2 different issues.
How y'all doing? I'm approaching the council about a dispute I'm having with the Lafayette Parish Waterworks South. In August, I purchased a house, October of last year, I purchased a house. When I purchased it, I started renovating it, and I noticed that there was a problem with the meter. The land was washed away underneath it, and they had a lot of tunneling. So I called the Lafayette Parish Waterworks South, notified them that, you know, there was no dirt underneath the meter.
Venable, hold on for 1 second. Just stop his time for a second for me, please. I understand that You may have not been clear on the fact that you get 5 minutes to speak to your issues. Do you understand that?
I'm not clear. I own many properties in this town, and they're two separate issues.
Okay.
So if I were to approach all my issues, it would take 6 months before, it's totally different.
No, that's
complete
not, actually,
issues.
that's not the case. There are other remedies. Depending on what the issue is, there's something we do called a discussion item. Public comment is designed for citizens to come before the council and make a public notice of a concern that they have. Whenever it goes beyond a comment and it needs to be a discussion, we have a designated portion of our meeting that we do full discussion items that don't have the same time restrictions. So it's two different things. So I want to be totally clear to you right now. Your clock is going to start, and in 5 minutes it's going to stop, and that's going to be your time for tonight. If you would like additional time, I suggest that you contact the member who represents you.
I
on
did,
this
and they told me to
council,
come today.
and probably for a discussion, but now they may understand that you may need something more than that. So you're going to make public comments tonight, and if you would like to have a full discussion, you ask them to put it on the appropriate agenda to give you time to do a full discussion of any issues that you have. Start his clock. You could begin.
Thank you. Anyway, so after I noticed the problem with the meter, I called Lafayette Parish Waterworks South. I notified them, and I waited for them to come repair the item. And I waited, I called them again. They still didn't repair the item. Well, fast forward a couple months later, I had a leak on my property. Because of this leak, it ended up being, I don't know, $200-300 bill, something like that. I've had many leaks over the past 10 years at many of my properties. All of them I've paid with no problems because they was on my side and I'm responsible. So in this case, the leak was caused by their improper maintenance of it. Even when I called them, their excuse, it's your side, that's the policy, it's public funds, we can't do anything. Well, I'm not gonna pay it because it's not my responsibility. If they would have fixed their problem prior, it would have never leaked. And if it did leak, I would have noticed the leak because the leak was going in these channels from the washout. My leak never surfaced like normal. And I've been to they have a board meeting twice. I've been to their board meeting and discussed my issues. I've showed them pictures, and their excuse was, we don't have no proof you called. So right here, I'm gonna submit this so y'all can see. I pulled 3 years of call records, and you will see I called the waterworks maybe 9 times total in 3 years. I pay my bill in bulk. I'll go over there and give them $600 and say, hey, this ought to last me all year. I don't like, they're the only company that I can't pay automatic, so that's how I do my bills. So because of this, I don't need to call them. So you'll see in the records, I called them in October, the day I set up the account. Then I called them a month later, that's the day I complained. Then I didn't call them again to the day of the leak. 3 years, I've literally called them, just in 3 years, 9 times, and I have 5 properties with them, and 9 times total. So they're just unwilling to move. I tried to figure out how that organization was set up, and y'all appoint the board, and after talking to Mr. Bellard, this council is the governing body of it. So I have to bring my complaint to y'all prior to going elsewhere. So that's what I'm doing. With my minute and a half left, there's also an ordinance saying that I can't drill a water well, because before I pay this money, I'll drill a well and provide my own water. So I would like to request an exemption to put a water well on my property so I don't have to deal with Waterworks South if they're not going to work with me. That's just the way I am. I truly feel that they are responsible for this, and I'm a person who you know, I deal with morals, and I morally don't think it's right. So that's it. I'm not going to pay it under any circumstances, because I gave them 2 months to come fix the problem, and you know, they're going to say, oh, they fixed it now. Well, that didn't stop my bill from being $200. So I've continued to pay it for what I used, and I have a balance, and whenever they turn me off, they turn me off. But now my time is done.
Mr. Bello wants to talk to you, but the documents you have to submit, you could give those to the clerk, and she'll make sure that every member gets a copy of it. Mr.
Thank you.
Bello?
Yeah, and basically, when you had called me, we looked into the matter, and they did go out there and fix it. The hiccup we had was they're saying they never got the call. I want to get Mr. Escott hot here, because one of the questions, and I did not know the answer to this, was who oversees them, and if I could get Mr. Escott here in a second. Once they were notified and I got involved, and I just want this for the record, did they go out, check the meter out, and fix, or to your, in your estimation, do anything?
After the leak is whenever I got you involved, and I requested plenty time before, but the day I got you involved is the day they showed up and checked for the leak. They took pictures, and they poured a bag of sand in the hole, and you know, that's what they did.
All right, and just so the council knows, on this particular board, they do have their own board. You can go to their board and object to any payments like he's done. In my 9 years as a councilman, I have had 0 complaints about South District. That's the avenue that the procedure set up for them, is to go to their board. Once I got involved, I just said, hey, look, make sure y'all fix it or whatever, but I'm more hands-off, and that's their board, and you asked me to intervene, and as your council member, I intervened. So, Mr. Escott, what would be his next option since he's coming to us?
Well, I hate to say this, but I suggest to him that he retain a lawyer and seek legal recourse. He can sue the Waterworks District South.
And that's an option. I hope that, you know, from my dealings with them, they have always been on time, on spot. Obviously, you've had some bad issues with them. You went to their board rendered their decision, and I'm going to respect their board. Thank you.
I respect your decision.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Jim Onlo.
Last name is Enlow, just for clarification. I'm here tonight. Basically, we appealed a zoning plan on a lot next door to my house on Amaryllis Drive. I live at 118 Amaryllis.
I think that's an agenda item. Is that an agenda item for tonight?
I don't think so. There's nothing.
Yeah. It's up for appeal. It's item number.
Oh. I didn't see anything on this
Let's
sheet.
see, get it for you. 26.
Oh, mine
So
just-
that, yeah.
Mine just goes to 11.
Yeah.
Or you picked up the LPU later.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right. I got the wrong thing.
Right.
Okay.
So just amend his blue card to allow him to speak at item number 26, please.
I will call him.
Because he. Speaker, please. Absolutely.
Andrew Abear.
Oh, you should have called Jared.
Yeah, he's in my district, called Jared.
He is.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Abear. I've been coming to your meetings for quite a while trying to explain things, so I figure maybe I ought to get you to see how I feel. So if you want to, you people watching in television, in the audience, and the council members, do this. Raise your left hand if you're a registered city voter. Raise your right hand if you're a registered parish voter. I feel I've been robbed. I've been robbed because whenever I come here, I can only speak as one voice, yet I vote as two separate voices. I feel I've been robbed because I've pointed out to this council that I have taxation without representation. I pay city property taxes, and I do not have equal representation. I've been robbed. I pay city sales taxes, and I don't have equal representation, and I've been robbed. I pay Lafayette utility taxes, and I've been robbed. I've been robbed of equal representation of my utility company. I don't have an equal public service commissioner representative in this body. I've been robbed. I've been robbed of a mayor because your ordinances say acting as the governing authority. A real mayor is elected only by the people who live in his town and can only be from that jurisdiction. I've been robbed of a city council because you're acting as the governing authority of the city of Lafayette. You're elected by the parish. A city council is only elected from its jurisdiction and can only come from its jurisdiction. I know this because there are 5 of them in this parish: Scott, Carencro, Dusson, Youngsville, Broussard. I've been robbed, I believe, of the true consolidation, the merger that we the people voted on. Because the Constitution says you are to take over the assets and liabilities and become one. I've been robbed of that ever since this is going on. And I'll continue to be robbed of this as long as we continue where we're going. The only solution I have is to join the parish. That's the only solution I have. To get out of the city and be one with the parish. Lafayette Parish 1. I filed a petition to de-annex my property. I did not get a single letter from any official, even saying I received your petition. I had to legally ask for public information to know if you're even looking into it. I've been robbed of due process because I know there's a due process. Because the city of Youngsville has a petition for de-annexation that was passed. An ordinance was passed to de-annex property in Youngsville. And the letter even says the mayor directed the gentleman to hand deliver that to his legal department to get the ordinance written and hand deliver it back to the mayor. I believe I've been robbed. The only due course I have is to de-annex my property. So I'm asking you again to place the ordinance to de-annex my property out of this government or keep robbing me. Because eventually everybody else that's a registered parish voter and a registered city voter will begin to understand how long they've been robbed. I understand why you can't call it a city parish property tax, because your jurisdiction is only the city and unincorporated areas. If you call those taxes coming up city parish property taxes, the small towns would be exempt from that tax because you have not truly merged the government. The only thing we did was allow the parish to elect officials to run the city of Lafayette. That is it. Please de-annex me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a copy of this too for y'all.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Ayberry made a number of points, and I don't have the time to address either one, but that last point that you made needs to be clarified. When we do a parish property tax, it's for all of Lafayette Parish. all of Lafayette Parish, including the other municipalities,
And what's your jurisdiction?
the entire parish.
Next speaker, please.
Final speaker, Dr. Michael Walden, and he did provide a copy of his presentation, and I'll provide you guys with a copy of it.
Good evening, Mayor President and council members. Thank you for accepting our public input. Today I have two things that I wanted to speak to you briefly about. First, I wanted to say I rode the bus 3 times today. Every time I ride the bus, I'm so happy. You have such a great bus system here, and it's now incorporated into Google Maps on my phone, so I know exactly when the bus is going to get there, and I know I better walk faster to get there because the bus is going to be there. The buses are quick and comfortable, and when you're old like me, you get to ride for 50 cents, so it's the best deal in the parish. So I really appreciate that, and I wanted to definitely say something positive. My other comment is not so positive. I'm a member of the Sierra Club, and we sent a letter to the City Council and the Mayor President dated March 22nd, 2017. We've never heard back from that letter, and I just wanted to remind you of it. Councilman Boudreau did tell me one day when I met him that you were working on a reply to it, that LUS was working up something, but I guess, you know, maybe it's fallen through the cracks or maybe you're still looking at it. I wanted to remind you of what this letter says. The subject is recommended actions to protect public health and property of Lafayette citizens. And it has 10 bullet points. I'll read them as quickly as I can. We want you to plan and execute a study of the surface contamination and groundwater contamination at the abandoned rail yard. This is extremely important to the health of the citizens of Lafayette. Second, to partner with the federal and state agencies that might partner on this. Third, to intensify the sampling of our drinking water wells and be sure to sample all the contaminants that are known or suspected to be at the abandoned rail yard because they're not all sampled right now. Fourth is to make all past and current well monitoring easily available to the citizens. Some of the data are available through the Department of Health and Hospitals online website, but it's really awkward to get to that. It would be very good if you could publish those data and make them more easily available. We need to begin a contingency plan in case we do ultimately have to shut down all the water wells at the North Treatment Plant. This is a possibility. 3 of the wells have shown contamination. I believe that we're not producing out of those wells as much as we used to. You know, those wells probably cost, I'm just guessing, $1 million a piece to drill. Plus, you've got to put in pipes to go to whatever new well field you select. This is a big deal, and we should beginning the contingency planning of this so it doesn't just hit us in the face. We need to identify the responsible parties that are responsible for the contamination here and protect the ratepayers and the taxpayers from paying for this. The Union Pacific Railroad is one of the biggest corporations in the world. They spend over $100 million a year cleaning up old rail yard sites. They don't spend any of that money here in the parish. And why? Because we're not asking them to. The abandoned rail yard site is a public hazard. It needs to be closed off from the public. It's rated by DEQ as having limited industrial uses. That doesn't mean that children can go out and play on it. That doesn't mean that you can park cars. That doesn't mean that it's open for the public to take a shortcut across. It needs to be fenced off. It needs no parking of public parking needs to happen there. We need to be protected from this, and we need to be protected from the dust that blows off that site when they do things like mow the grass. These are just simple things that need to be done. I'll stop there. I've given a copy of the letter to the clerk. I do hope that you will take action. It's not too late to take action on our letter and to answer our letter and to look like you are working for the people and for the protection of the people and not for the protection of the responsible party here. Thank you.
Thank you. You did indicate that was our final speaker?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We're going to now move to resolutions. Again, this is a public hearing. Blue sheets are available for anyone wishing to address the council. The 5-minute rule does apply. Jeremy, could you please read item number 6?
Resolution 41, 2017, a resolution of the Lafayette City-Parish Council affirming the selection of funding recipients for the 2017-2018 External Agencies Funding Program.
Can I get a motion? Motion by Mr. Castillo, second by Mr. Lewis. Council discussion. There is not any blue cards.
Yes, sir. First off, we have 6 agencies who signed in and supported a resolution but did not wish to speak. We do have one speaker, Brenda Portian. She'll pass. No more speakers.
Okay, thank you very much. No council discussion. Please call the vote on this item.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
District 9?
No.
Motion to adopt is approved. Resolution 42, 2017, a resolution of the Lafayette City-Parish Council authorizing the filing of an application with the National Arbor Day Foundation to recertify Lafayette as a Tree City, USA.
Motion by Lewis, second by Conk. Council discussion. There is not any blue cards. Please call the vote.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8? District 9? District 2? Motion to adopt is approved. Resolution 43, 2017, a resolution of the Lafayette City-Parish Council certifying the population census count for the fire service units in the parish of Lafayette for the purpose of distribution of the 2% insurance rebate program.
Motion by Lewis, second by Conk. Council discussion. There is not any blue cards. Please call the vote.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8? District 9? District 2? District 3? Motion to adopt is approved. Resolution 44, 2017, a resolution of the Lafayette City-Parish Council accepting and committing to the obligations established by the State of Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development for Surface Transportation Block Grant Program funding.
Motion by Conk,